Hello, everyone. This is Rick, and welcome to Astral Club. This is questions and answers number 25. And there's questions here from the episodes The Price of War, Early Astral Projection Sensations, 5 Steps to Full Astral Projection, and How to Become an Astral Guide. Before I get started, just want to mention Patreon. Had a lot of great support from the community by joining, folks joining on Patreon, helping to spread the information and the word of astral projection. And I very much appreciate it. And if you'd like to join the very many kind people who are currently patrons of Astral Club, you'll find a link to do so in the description. Next up, if you are interested in an astral projection lesson with me, I've talked with a lot of very extraordinary people. It's a very fun time, and 3 hours goes by very quickly. So if you'd like to get some pointers to learn how to astral project or to improve your amount of astral projections and your techniques and what you can do, I'd be more than glad to help you and share my experiences and to see if I can assist you in that way. If you're interested, there is an email to contact me for more information in the description. Okay, let's get into it then. First up is Kip Road, who always asks some great questions. And this is from The Price of War. If you recall, I visited the monk who is currently on a healing plane. He had been trapped on a magnetar, which is basically a Death Star, and his elements, the bits of his soul matrix, had been scattered all over this place. Yet he was still had some level of consciousness. It's a hell that I don't even like to think on. I visited him. He is getting better, but I think he's dealing with what we might term PTSD. I also met with the Virgin near the planet that I have named Oceania, and we had a talk there. Kip Road asks in number 1, you had to travel 10,000 years into the future to rescue the monk. Now that he's on the healing plane, do you have to travel that far to visit him? It's a good question. I really can't answer it with any authority. I just homed in on his ident. And remember, ident is essentially time-space coordinates that an individual exemplifies. And so if you're aware of that person, you know that person, you can go to where they are just by homing in on their ident, which is what I did. So I have no idea what time frame he is currently residing on within the healing plane that where he's getting some treatment. So I can't be sure. Keep in mind, though, that time is an illusion. We've discussed this before. We're very much concerned here in the physical with the separation, that the past is separate. It's no longer happening. The present's happening right now, and the future hasn't happened yet. When you start playing with the astral, you learn that these lines get blurred very quickly. For instance, I have visited the future. I have lived days, months, years in the future. So is that the future for me, or is it the past? Because I have a memory of something that essentially hasn't happened yet. The whole thing gives me a headache. Just understand that our understanding here in the physical plane of the past, present, and the future is incorrect. It's a powerful illusion. That's all it is. Number 2. I've had many well wishes and sympathy and support shown by the community for what I suffered and that what my friends were exposed to, and most especially the monk. And I very much appreciate all of the support that was sent my way. And some of the people who left very eloquent and very beneficial information for me are Lightning Round, Chris A., Diana Becerra, Infinity Mage, Master Buddy 23, CD, Castle, Treehouse, and Horned Tree Ant. I just want to thank everyone very much for their well wishes and support, especially when the losses that I experienced in this damn war. Number 3, Creative777 said, "What do you mean that the Virgin got trapped in the lower reincarnation cycle on the planet Oceania? He was an advanced being. How can he go backwards?" Homo Saucer essentially asked the same question in a slightly different way. He compared what happened to the Virgin like playing the game Snakes and Ladders or Chutes and Ladders as we play it here in the States. I think the Snakes and Ladders is really the Canadian version of the game. When you are in your in-between state, say you're in the astral and you are an advanced being, when you travel to different planets and different planes, you must remain vigilant. The gains that you have made in knowledge and wisdom and emotional knowledge, empathy, sympathy, all of that is not something that you're guaranteed to always have. It is possible to slip into old ways, old patterns. When you travel to a planet like Oceania, one that is currently at a lower reincarnation state, a lower vibrational state, where violence and other negative emotions, killing, what have you, rules the day there. If you are not in complete control of your emotions and your thoughts, you can fall. You can find yourself trapped in a lower reincarnation cycle. That is something that you must keep in mind. It requires courage to visit these places. I don't think sometimes I stress that enough. Your gains, your levels are not forever guaranteed. It's really no different than our physical lives. You can have someone who has earned an advanced degree and is serving his community in a position that is well respected, and he finds himself with a great family, and he has everything. And then he allows himself to slip and starts taking drugs, like heroin, for instance, or he becomes an alcoholic. He can lose all of that. He can even lose himself in that downward spiral. So your achievements is something that you have to continue to work on, not only to preserve, but to continue going forward. You can't rest on your laurels thinking that, you've achieved a certain level and now you can just kind of coast. You must always be moving forward or risk falling backwards. And certainly when you visit a very violent lower vibrational planet like Oceania, you must be in complete control. You must be in your purest service to others state or risk falling backwards. Number 4, Cosmic commented. He said he didn't think that I did anything wrong with the Virgin. I advised him not to go down into Oceania But he made his own presumptions and his own decisions and disregarded my warning. And in so doing, he descended down to that planet. And because of how his being had become warped and degraded by his interaction with the master, he was open to this type of decrease or lowering of his soul gains. And he became trapped in this lower reincarnation cycle. When I summoned him, I was testing him. I wanted to see if he felt bad for his part in the immense harm that was done to our mutual friend, the monk. I had hoped against hope that there was still some spark of humanity within the Virgin that I could use to try to reclaim him back to his better self. Unfortunately, he didn't display anything of his old nobility. And as such, I realized that my old friend was truly dead. And when he descended to that plane, despite my warning not to do so, I felt I couldn't help but feel badly about it because it was another friend that I lost. But in essence, I'd already lost my friend anyway. The husk that was left of my old Astral Guide School friend was not the person that I got to know in our Astral Guide School classes. My hope is that by going through this more primitive reincarnation cycle, he will eventually relearn the lessons that he had learned in previous experiences, and that he could regain the high position that he once held. That's my hope, at least. In early astral projection sensations, I describe some of the sensations that you might experience when you are beginning to astral project. Number 5, UHNICTZ, Uniz, I don't know. That's who it is. They ask, would background noise like a fan prevent astral projection? And this is a question that I've thought about quite a bit over the years. What I find is if the noise is something that you constantly hear when you sleep and it doesn't interfere with your sleep patterns, then that tells me that it has become part of the background that is not threatening to you, in that your subconscious mind does not feel threatened by. The sounds that are the most harmful to an extended astral projection, or indeed an astral projection in general, are sounds that are sudden, unexpected, that triggers the auto response mechanism of the physical body to pull the astral back inside itself. So perhaps someone shouting outside, a police siren going by, a smoke detector going off. These are all very jarring sounds, and many of them are designed to be jarring because they want to grab your attention. These things will pull you back into your body. But a fan that is steadily buzzing away in a way that doesn't prevent you from relaxing, and indeed in some cases actually helps you to relax, I don't see that as an impediment. But keep in mind, we're all different. If you think you're having problems with a particular sound, then try to mask it out and see if that helps you. Kev Changu asks, how can your astral body feel the rain or the wall as you pass through it? I mentioned that I'd had an astral projection shortly before I made this particular video. And I was outside. I just gotten outside my parents' house because many times I have this homing beacon because that's where I began astral projecting. So many times I'll just leave my body and bam, find myself in my old bedroom. And when I left my parents' house, it was raining. And I could sense the drops falling upon my astral body. Now, I didn't feel wet, and I certainly didn't feel that wetness that we interpret as uncomfortable in our physical bodies. And passing through walls, I have sensed sometimes a basic dulled sensation. Robert Monroe made many of the same claims. A lot of it has to do with your vibrational rate. If you're vibrating very close to the physical, it's much more likely to happen. When you're vibrating at a very high level, you don't experience these things. But at a lower level, you may. I'm still a little conflicted there. Part of what I think is happening is that your brain knows what these things feel like. So it's supplying this stimuli so that you think you're feeling it in the astral because you expect to feel it because you're experiencing a physical body. I bet you there isn't anyone on earth that doesn't know what it feels like to feel a raindrop hitting your skin. It's a common sensation. In the past, I think I've described, for instance, if I mention imagine smelling a lemon, I think most people would almost sense or smell a lemon because of past experiences, because it's a very strong odor and it makes an impact on our brains. So me just mentioning, imagine smelling a lemon, I think many of us might be able to smell and maybe even taste a lemon, despite the fact there are no lemons where I'm currently making this video, and chances are there are no lemons where you are, where you're listening to it. So that's my theory. Number 7, beauty vitae. Can a heavy blanket interfere with astral projection? I normally sleep, and my wife thinks I'm insane for doing this, but I normally sleep without blankets. I believe that a heavy blanket, can psychologically affect your ability to leave your body. In reality, I don't believe that a physical blanket can stop the separation, but people feel or think that it might because we're thinking with our physical brain, and we know if there is a cover over us, typically we must shed that cover in order to get out of bed in the physical. And I think that thought process is interfering with astral projection, because keep in mind, astral projection, you're using your consciousness to initiate it. And if there's the least bit doubt somewhere in your mind, that doubt could be enough to keep you inside your body. So I sleep without covers. And I know that may seem bizarre to some people, but you get used to it after a while. I just imagine this warm energy around me, and I'm able to sleep with either, let's just say, very minimal clothing, even in the wintertime, when the temperature falls quite precipitously. I think our minds allow us, if we train them, to survive conditions that we don't believe that we can, because we've never stretched ourselves. So I don't sleep with blankets generally, especially when I'm looking to astral project. RR asks in number 8, is it normal to have 360-degree vision? 360-degree vision is available when you're astral projecting. However, many report not perceiving that. And I think it's for several reasons. First of all, your vision in your astral body is very much contingent upon your consciousness, your will in using it. In many cases, you may have to consciously will having that 360-degree vision for it to actually kick in. But I think there's also this prejudice that as beings who, while we're in our physical body, we only have, say, tops 180-degree vision. We're used to seeing the world that way. So even if you have 360-degree vision available to you in the astral, I've learned from my own experience that I tend to really focus my attention on what is in front of me because that's what I'm used to doing. So that's my best answer there. In 5 Steps to Full Astral Projection, William asks, are you aware of any big astral projection communities? Well, I'm aware of the subreddit Astral Projection on Reddit. But I don't think that's what William was really asking about. Yes, there is a sort of community on the Astral Projection subreddit. But really, it's a lot of people in their homes typing. And I think what he's really looking for is some sort of actual physical grouping of people. I'm not aware of any large group of folks like that, other than, say, the Monroe Institute in Faber, Virginia. And I think the reason for that is, number one, we're talking about a very niche community here. This is not a very widely known talent. And even those who are aware of it aren't necessarily seeking out communities. I find that the average person interested in astral projection tends to be more introverted than extroverted. They tend to be more lone wolf types than the life of the party types. Now, I'm making generalizations here, of course, but that's what I've observed. Now, if I'm giving a talk somewhere, and I've given talks in front of a lot of people about this and other topics. When I was in business, I spoke to groups of hundreds of people. And you put me in as the center of attention somewhere, and I will suck that up. And you'll think, boy, this guy's really extroverted. But you put me in a room with a bunch of people I don't know, I'll probably hang in the back in a corner somewhere. Maybe I'll strike up a conversation with one person. Because by nature, I am an introvert. And so I think I'm not aware of any large physical groups that are around. There might be some small groups that meet from time to time in various cities. But I'm unaware of any large association other than, for instance, the Monroe Institute. And if you know anything or about any sort of groups that exist, perhaps you could make a comment in the comment section. Next up, we have number 10, which is Finn. And Finn just made the comment, much appreciated. He said that this and other videos have led to a lot of improvement, and he was grateful. And I just want to say thank you. I'm glad that it's able, I've been able to assist you in some way in your astral projection progress. In number 11, Kev Changu asked, and this is his second question. He and Kip Road tend to ask a lot of good questions, and that's just why they show up. When you hear voices as you leave your body, is that like telepathy? Well, it's like telepathy, like someone turning a radio through the bands very quickly is like speaking. You hear human voices, but it's not really communication. You are sensing these voices in a telepathic band, but they're not being addressed to you. It's just kind of noise. Like I said, it's kind of like a radio where somebody's scrolling very quickly through the dial. Telepathy is actually one person to another, or one person to a group, communicating actual thoughts, feelings, emotions. That's communication. Somebody just dialing through a radio station at random, it makes noise, and you're certainly receiving it through a telepathic channel, but it's not actual communication per se. Number 12, Alexander Kodiak. Question. So, if I'm going through rough times, does that mean I shouldn't astral project? It's a tough question to answer because everyone's different. I normally say that people who are going through deep depression should avoid astral projecting, for example. Because when you're on the astral plane, particularly in the lower astral, many emotions become accentuated. I think emotions are interfered with in some way in the physical body. They're not pure. You're only really getting a portion, even though it feels like you're getting the whole blast. You're really not. When you're in the astral body, nothing's interfering with that emotion. And if you're depressed, you can become extraordinarily depressed. And I've given some examples of that. And you can draw in others with those types of energies. And that works with any kind of emotion, from the positive ones, joy, happiness, love, to the negative ones, despair, desperation, depression, anger, any of those, fear. So I would say that if you are, especially if you're a newer projector, if you're not in a good space emotionally, I would say that you should consider very carefully whether astral projection is the best thing for you to be doing at that time. In How to Become an Astral Guide, number 13, Kip Rode asks, and this is his second question too, when you take on the duties of an astral guide, do you get a periodic recharge so you don't have to reincarnate? No, you don't. You don't receive any sort of power-ups, remuneration, benefits, anything when you're an astral guide. You do the job because it is something that you feel drawn to. You do it not expecting any special rewards or dispensations for it. You may be putting off your own ascension to the mental plane or to a higher reincarnation plane because you want to serve others at this level. So, no, it's not a way to put off or to escape reincarnation. You, of course, receive the benefit of the knowledge that you've helped others, and you may learn lessons from these people which will assist your own soul growth. But no, it's not a position for which you're going to get any special dispensations. It's really something that you do purely to serve others with no expectation of any sort of award. If you liked this question and answer, please hit the like button, share it with those of like minds, subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, hit that bell. That way you'll always get notified when the Wednesday at 2 p.m. and the Saturday at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time US videos come out. And please, I want to hear the questions. I want to hear the comments, because that's how we all share knowledge. That's how we share information. And that's how you help me put together a video, which I very much appreciate. And as always, I'm Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.